What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Roger Waters, and we're returning to his 1984 album, The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, a surrealist and quite remarkable journey already, and no doubt that will continue right to the end of the album. Thank you again to Cindy for providing this CD. And we're going to hear for the first time today Part 1, even though you may remember we've already heard for the first time today Part 2, which came earlier on the album, another indication of how topsy-turvy this experience has been, which I get it is part of the narrative, the dreaming, surrealist narrative of the album. But yeah, the Part 2 version, it had some gospel-style vocals, it had a saxophone, it had a bit of a down-tempo bluesy feel, so I'm not quite sure how similar to or different from that this might be. Let's find out. This is Roger Waters for the first time today, Part 1, which again is coming after for the first time today, Part 2, excuse me, from his 1984 album, The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking.
For the first time today, I feel it's really over. You are my everyday excuse for playing deaf, dumb, and blind. And who'd have ever thought this was how it would end for you and me? To carry my own millstone out of the trees, and I have to admit I don't like it a bit being left here beside lonesome road, lonesome road.
So another transitional piece. I do remember the Part 2, which again we heard first, was quite short. I want to say it was like 2 minutes. I think this was even shorter. Yeah, like 1.5 minutes. And so this one takes place at 4:56 a.m. and the next track is 4:58 a.m. So yeah, a shorter one. Again, I'll try to come back sooner or with a smaller gap between this and the next one than between this one and the previous one. So bear with me, and indeed, thank you to Cindy who's had patience as we've gone through this at a somewhat languid pace, but in a way, it's not the worst thing because the album is such a unique artifact, even among, I've listened to a lot of quirky and unusual music in my day, but this album is right near the top in terms of just one of the most surrealist and, again, very musically and vocally compelling and yet surrealist experiences I've had when it comes to a full album. But yes, definitely I think this is a duet, and I'm curious who that female voice was. There's a bit of piano, like light dancing piano, saxophone, which we just get hints of it. It's not like a prolonged saxophone solo, but in the moments it comes in, it's very sonorous, it's very tasty, and again, there's a bit of this down-tempo ambience and some, I think, like background, like pad or tension strings supporting it. But yeah, a very artful piece, a very emotional, I think, lament. Like, I think there was a line saying about like not wanting to be left on the side of this road. So yeah, again, the full narrative of this is something that I'm probably going to understand better once I get through these reactions and I can just sit down and listen to the full thing, which again, I know some people will say that when you listen to certain albums, it really behooves you to hear the full thing. I get that. It's just not really conducive to the format that I do for these audio reactions. So apologies, but bear with me. And as I said, I look forward to hearing the full album once I've got through it in this reaction series. In any case, when we come back next time, the tune will be, what does that say? Durndimen? Donovan? What the heck does that say? Hold on, I have the Wikipedia page open for this album. Dumroman, Duncarin, Dunovan? Why does it have to be the most eccentric and unusual name possible? As I'm trying to read what it says on this CD with my aging eyes. But yes, we'll figure out exactly what the 3 words, which look like names, they look like, Scottish surnames or something like that. So we'll see what that's all about when we come back. Nevertheless, after that we have the Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking Part 10. I'm not sure we've had 9 parts of that already. Then Every Stranger's Eyes, and then the last song is The Moment of Clarity. So we'll look forward to that. In any case, let me know what you think of this piece. Thank you again to Cindy, and I will see you next time. Peace.